So we're about a month away from Season 3 of The War Within, and we've recently gotten a pretty big announcement that going from Season 2 to Season 3, Valor Stones will no longer be resetting. Usually you lose them all going into a new season, but that's not going to be happening anymore, and usually this wouldn't actually be a massive deal unless you're a complete min-maxer, because whether you do the activities to get the Valor Stones before Season 3 or you would do them during Season 3, it really wouldn't matter. You wouldn't generally be saving much time, but because of some of the events currently active, you could actually farm up ridiculous amounts of Valor Stones very easily right now and stockpile them going into Season 3. Now also make sure to note that at the start of Season 3, it doesn't seem like you'll be able to trade Valor Stones between characters, so this is more something you'll probably want to be doing for a lot of your ults, because also remember you'll probably be doing the main campaign once we go into Season 3 to unlock all of the new content and systems, so you'll probably be gaining a ton of Valor Stones through that already, especially on your main, but more specifically on your ult, you'll probably be skipping all of that questing. Having all of those Valor Stones could actually be of much greater use, and that goes for pretty much every character outside of the, say, one main character you'd be doing the quest lines on. And this farm is going to be possible until July 29th, and I've gone over this before, but this is going to be farming the treasure goblins from the Diablo event that's currently active. Because if you don't know, going and defeating and looting any of these treasure goblins and also doing any of the weekly quests in Dornegal will give you one of the event-specific chests, and opening those will give you on average 50 Valor Stones. Now, the absolute best way to go about farming this is just to stay in Undermine and farm as many goblins as you possibly can. Because one of the biggest changes to this version of the event is that when the portals are spawning, they can randomly spawn with different affixes on the portal, and people can also throw these elixirs at the portal to give them more affixes, and the more affixes you put on the portal, the more goblins will spawn out of it, up to 3 goblins when having 6 affixes on that portal. So every portal you come across, if you're doing this farm correctly, you'll be killing and looting 3 different goblins, which will give you an average of 150 Valor Stones per portal. And you can get these portals pretty quickly when sitting in the Undermine, because every rare you kill in the Undermine will spawn a portal, but they do go on a 2-hour cooldown after they've already spawned a portal. And then the first 15 minutes of every hour will also have a portal storm, which essentially just spawns like 5 portals back to back to back. So you go defeat one portal, it'll spawn a new one. And with all of that combined, this is an absurdly fast way to just cap out your Valor Stones on pretty much any characters you want to farm a little bit on. And the best way to do this farm is similar to the best way you do any open world farm, which is you go in the group finder and you look for any goblin farming group. There'll usually be raids of like 40 players you can join. And while it will definitely be a bit more laggy because you'll have your full raid and also any other players in that instance of the Undermine, so it can get laggy, but this will guarantee that you're getting as many portals as possible, and it will guarantee all of those portals have the max number of affixes on them, meaning you'll always get 3 treasure goblins out of each portal. This just makes the farm much better and more efficient overall. And at most times of the day, you'll probably be finding groups to do this farm, and not even for Valor Stones. Most people doing this farm will just be doing it to get the cosmetics from the event, which also brings us into that this isn't just going to be good for Valor Stones, but this is going to be really good if you want to earn all of the cosmetics from the event. The treasure goblins themselves can drop a bunch of different items, a bunch of different cosmetic items, including 2 mounts, and then every single chest you open up will either have a guaranteed chance or just a chance to give you the currency for this event, which is what you go spend at a vendor to get the recolors of the remade tier 2 sets, and there's one for every class there, and they all cost 40 of this event's currency. So pretty easily be able to cap a handful of characters on Valor Stones before you get enough of the event currency to get every tier gear set. So you're basically killing two birds with one stone here. Now, one of the best things this is actually going to be used for is playing a bunch of different alts, because remember, we're going into a new season. So if it's not, say, your main character that you're going to be going into raids with, or going into PvP, or going into Mythic Plus, you're not going to be getting higher tier gear super quickly that requires you go get higher crests to upgrade. A lot of the starter gear going into the season just takes Valor Stones, and then obviously the lower tracks of gear only cost Valor Stones and the really easy and abundant to obtain crests. So those are super easy, and you're already obtaining those through open world content. So you can pretty easily get a bunch of Valor Stones on a bunch of your alts, and then upgrade a bunch of the early gear very quickly into season 3, which will just make you much stronger for farming gear in the open world, will allow you to get a higher item level to more easily get into Mythic Plus groups, or just allow your character to be stronger to be better in raid or anything like that. And it's just always super nice to not to have to deal with Valor Stones, because I think everybody has been in that position. They have Valor Stones when they don't need them, but they don't have Valor Stones when they actually need them, including on a bunch of their alts. And that's actually one of the main areas where you don't have them, because you have alts that you want to use a bunch of Valor Stones on to gear up quickly to jump into the endgame content, but you never have the Valor Stones because they're reset at a new season. So doing this farm and stacking all of your characters with Valor Stones is going to allow you to bypass that going into season 3. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.